You have reached the Geek Elite. Good luck.
That's way easier to do in person.
Isn't it? It's much nicer to...
I don't know if you ever saw in the camera. I would try to do the little hand swoop.
Is it like, great?
Yep.
Geek out. Welcome back for another issue of Imagine If. We are here. We are going to be talking about the spinner rack because we got new comic books coming out this week. Then we're going to, you know what, Chris, I really, on this eve of Zack Snyder's Justice League, everybody remember to leave out, I don't know, it's not milk and cookies, that's Santa. What would you leave out for Zack Snyder on the eve of Zack Snyder's Justice League?
You leave out dark tones. Hero cake, as Paquette would call it, and a nice serving of Martha. Why would you say that? That'll actually get Zack Snyder himself to come to your house and personally log into HBO Max so you can watch it. So
well,
yes.
I just as long as he doesn't kill Jimmy Olsen again. Like,
now, technically, that was an extra or a deleted scene, so it didn't happen. Maybe
true.
I don't know.
Well, it was in the director's cut.
But then again, this movie technically didn't happen either. So who knows?
We're gonna talk about our thoughts of I guess at this point we call it Joss Whedon's Justice League, and then what we expect from Zack Snyder's Justice League.
That's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe even. Then talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier that's coming up on Disney Plus, and then we are going to get into Vision Quest. Essentially, at the end of WandaVision, you see White Vision take off. So, what is it that could be in store for him? Well, you know what? We have the comic books to tell you what could happen next.
Yep, we're gonna use these archaic back issues to show us, because as much as we love the television and movies, they were inspired by something. Now, sometimes they don't always come true, and that's why we don't make you click on these extraordinary links to hear our hyper bull. We whisper it into your ear, kind of like how Wanda does with her magic. But we share it. We don't necessarily make up fake theories. We help you to explore, so you can make your own at home.
That's right. We give you the tools. You come up with your own fake theories. Yep. Okay, but before, as always, we're going to get into that spinner rack. So what is new on this new comic book day?
All right, so it is going backwards in time to Terrific Tuesday. If you go to your local comic shop, you should be able to pick out all the brand new stuff from DC Comics. So this week, we have coming at us Catwoman issue 29. So new writer Ram V will be taking over, and he has done a phenomenal job on Future State Swamp Thing. So I would definitely say he is going to be a writer to definitely be checking out. So I'd probably suggest, going back maybe an issue, because I don't think this is his first, but he could definitely be putting some amazing adventures of Selena Kyle forward for all of us. Let's see. We also have Justice League issue 59. So we have Brian Michael Bendis and Ram V tag teaming to join up with the JLA. Now, the best part about this is David Marquez is the artist. So David Marquez, I first discovered him back when Bendis was working at Marvel, and those two did the Defenders. So I don't know if you can picture that in your mind's eye. He has amazing artwork.
Who is it that's on this cover here? Who's the team that's featured?
They've kind of got them all shadowed out. So it looks like if we go from the left and march across, we've got Ollie Quinn, Green Arrow, Black Canary. I would imagine the Shiera Saunders, not Shiera Saunders.
Kendra Saunders.
There we go. Kendra Saunders, Hawk Girl.
And Shiera Hall?
Yeah, Shiera Hall. So I think this would be Kendra. Yeah, this should be Kendra. Okay. Black Adam directly in the center.
That's Black Adam?
Yeah, that's Black Adam, not Captain Marvel. Oh, wait, sorry, we can't say it. Not Shazam.
He wears a hood?
Yeah, well, because hoods are cool now with the Shazam family. It's standard motif now.
Okay.
The Wizard Shazam's even rocking a hoodie, We got Superman continuing across the top. Right below him, we've got Aquaman. Below Aquaman, we got Batman. And then we've got newcomer Naomi, so she would be on the left center there. Now, as for the right center, this is what's going to be tough. I imagine it is a Wonder Woman, but could it be any of our 3 Wonder Women? Diana, Yana, or, oh my gosh,
Artemis?
you should know this. Not Artemis. They introduced 2 during Future State. Because you had another one that grew up on the
South
island.
America.
Well, so you had 2 from Amazon.
Okay.
Diana and the one I can't picture. And then from South America, right?
Yeah.
That's Yana. So I don't think it'll be Yana. There is even a potential. Now, this is going to sound strange. It could be Hippolyta.
Oh,
Because, so if you read the Infinite Frontier, actually, we could almost cheat a little bit. We've got a variant cover off to the side here. So I guess that looks like our standard Wonder Woman. So it looks like she's going to get a costume change. But, I almost wonder. I think that might be Hippolyta. And I'm sure I'm saying her name wrong. Hippolyta?
Hippolyta or Hippolyta?
Okay.
Hippolyta. Like, it depends on who you're talking to, I think.
Okay.
I've always said Hippolyta.
That's how I always was, but then the movies, and I gotta, So that's gonna be your new team. In this issue, this is what was funny. So over at Bleeding Cool, they started this whole they're gonna change Black Adam's name because black is bad. It's gonna be racist. So they were saying his new name will be Shazam. Yeah, because Black Adam, Shazam.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. Now, Bendis was like, that was never the intent. It does get used in the comic more as a joke because, Shazam, Black Adam is over in his country. I can't think of the name now.
It's not
Belalia.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm very sure. I mean, I know you're staring at me, but
No, isn't it with the T?
I could say it all the time, and now I can't think of it. But anyway, so he's over in his country, and he's protecting his people. Now, he's very much doing the silent protector role, where most of the time it's like you look and you close your eyes, and then you open them, and you're like, I should have been hit. And then you just see the man flying away. And so the people are like, it's Shazam. And it's like, no, it's actually not Shazam. It's Black Adam. And so the mixture of going between foreign languages and all that stuff is what creates Shazam.
Yeah. So they've rebooted him essentially because it used to be that even though he was the superhero of that land, he was like the de facto king also. Like he was the ruler.
Yeah. So last time we really remember him back in the JSA days before Flashpoint. He was definitely he was the protector of his land, and then eventually to the point where he became his their ruler.
Yeah,
but benevolent. I'm ruling
not Dr. Doom.
Not Dr. Doom, but also at the same time he didn't do proper elections. So that was that. But then when the whole Flashpoint happened, Black Adam got rebooted. Everybody got rebooted.
Yeah.
And so he wasn't resurrected until modern times. And with that, he was just still holed up with all the anger, because last he remembers is his home is being destroyed. Kandak. There you go.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kandak. He was a villain again, never being on the JSA, never being a hero. But now through Rebirth and Infinite Frontier, technically everything counts now. So we know everything. So it's kind of a mixture of that. And I like that. That's how the editors can work. They're like, hey, you decide how it happened, okay, fans?
Well, I mean, after Rebirth, we didn't have. I remember specifically reading that Superman book where they talked about the death and return of Superman and the reign of Superman, and there was no Superboy mentioned in that story. Now we have Connor Kent back into the world, so definitely they're like,
it happened.
Mix,
yeah,
it's a nice little blender.
Yeah, we could take it all. You can have the Siegel and Shuster origin. You can have the Johns origin. You can have the Mark Waid one. You can have all of them blurred together. And it's funny because that's what I used to do. I remember when I would sort all my trades on my shelf or even my comics in the back issue boxes back when I had control of them, I would, it's like, well, yeah, I'm going to put Man of Steel. And then in between issues 2 and 3, or I'm going to put, Man of Tomorrow in there, and you could because it didn't matter. It was your collection. So there is a niceness to it, but at the same time, with DC producing books that are telling me the history, well, then make sure you have a history. Make sure you know what actually happened. Yeah. But yes, so continue on though. There are variant covers for issue 59 of JLA. So this is going to be a hot selling issue. Let's see. We have one that is, by Liam Sharp. And so he's got Cyborg, Batman, and Steppenwolf on there. So you get to see those three. Now, I originally thought they were all going to be locking together to create something. They're not. Then you have the Jim Lee cover, and that one's going to have Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and we get to see Martian Manhunter. Yeah. So the cat is out of the bag. We get to see who's going on there.
Yeah,
and
because all these incentive ones are Justice League movie covers, and the cat out of the bag of Martian Manhunter showing up in Justice League is going to be there.
Yeah, so that's going to be huge. So definitely pick yourself up one. This is the start of the new era of Justice League. They're, like I said, with the variant covers galore, it's going to be wild. And speaking of new eras, I am super hyped about this one. So Nightwing issue 78 will be out this week. Tom Taylor, Bruno Redondo are teaming up, and I love them. I mean, these two have worked together. We've seen them on Injustice. We've seen them on Suicide Squad. They just work perfectly together. And this is going to be the new era of Nightwing. It is Dick Grayson. It is Nightwing. It all happens. But then there's a new injected memory as well. But it was beautiful. I was lucky enough to actually get to advance review this book, God, like 2 weeks ago. Like I'd forgotten. Like I felt bad because I was telling everybody, go pick it up now. And it's like, oh, I had come out yet. Yeah. So, but my promise still holds. If you buy this and you do not like it, I will buy it off you.
What? So is this Tom Taylor's first Nightwing, or has he been on the book for a little bit now?
No, this is his first Nightwing. I mean, yes, he's written the character in other places, right, but this is like the first time it's the actual book in continuity, so it all counts.
Okay.
And, there's a dog in the book, so that's going to hit you in the soft spot there. Let's see. Superman now is getting the treatment. So we've seen Batman black and white. Even Marvel has teased us with with Wolverine red, white, and blood. Now we get Superman red and blue.
Now, is this going along with like Spider-Man blue and Captain America white?
No, it won't necessarily be those.
Was it Spider-Man red?
It was Spider-Man blue, Captain America white, Hulk gray, and Daredevil yellow.
Daredevil yellow, that's right.
Yeah, so you only had those four. Because those are inserted continuity stories. This is like, we're going to get famous people, famous writers, famous artists, and just have them work on Superman. Oh. So maybe it's continuity, maybe it's not, maybe it's something wonderful, and maybe we'll keep it. I got to flip through this, and it is just phenomenal. There's some great stuff there. The screenwriter who turned comic book writer, I can't think of his name, but he wrote a major story in there, and it was awesome because he really showcases that I get Clark Kent.
Not Ta-Nehisi, right?
I don't think so.
I don't know. There was what was it that it reminds me of Superman 1000, or was it Action Comics
1000?
Yeah, because they had all the various stories in the book, and then some of them became canon, some not so much.
Yeah. So it'll kind of play to that aspect. It's definitely just going to be the hey, this is to get major talent onto Superman, and let's see what happens. So I think books like that are fantastic. We have Truth and Justice #2 out as well. So this kind of deals with modern society issues and our superheroes. Are they doing enough? Are they not doing enough? I haven't really sat down and read this. I'll be honest with you. I'm going to wait till it's all collected. That way I could get one feel to see how it is.
And this is #2. So yeah. Who was on the cover of #1? Was it also Superman?
I think it was also Superman. Like it's really playing up on the idea that
does Superman do enough?
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, like because there is some if somebody gives an endorsement, what power could it have? Things like that. So it's definitely a challenging comic. It's funny because a lot of people, comics are the escape from social woes, but then people are like, but comics have always challenged social woes. It really varies. It really depends.
It does.
Some people want it. Some people don't. It's a touchy subject, so I applaud this team that is trying to tackle it. And we'll see what comes out of it. Let's see. Moving on to collected editions, we have Batgirl Returns Omnibus. So this is when Gail Simone joined up with Barbara Gordon and gave her walking ability back when they started the New 52. We have Batman Beyond Volume 8, The Eradication Agenda. So this is the final volume in that series by Dan Jurgens, and we get to have Terry McGinnis actually meet a younger functioning Bruce Wayne Batman.
Wow.
And there's a neat little twist where Terry influences somebody who in turn influences him. You want the spoiler?
Sure.
He influences his dad.
Oh.
Yeah, he winds up saving his dad, and so there you go.
So
it's a
he
neat
saves his dad before his dad dies.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, he's not
he
saving
saves him, but yeah.
He's not saving him at the point where he died at the beginning of the show, is he?
No, he saves him when he was a kid.
Right, okay.
So it's a neat little touching moment. Fun stuff there. We have Sandman Deluxe Edition Book 2. I've lost track how many different versions of Sandman is out there, but I know people love this stuff, so if you're a big Neil Gaiman fan and you're trying to collect this series, definitely check that out. That'll be out as well.
I know this Sandman, he's the Lord of Dreams, right?
Yeah, Daniel or Damien or something like that. I think Daniel is his name.
And we're going to be getting Sandman on Netflix, and Sandman currently is audiobooks out right now with James McAvoy as the voice. But this Sandman and the Sandman from the JSA are definitely not the same ones. I understand that.
Yeah.
However, they ended up making Sandy the Golden Boy kind of a little bit more like this Sandman eventually, right? Didn't they started giving him like
I don't know if he
sleep
necessarily
powers?
had like I know they would definitely play with the idea that they would use gases to put people to sleep. Like I know they did retcon in the idea that Daniel, the Lord of Dreams, would talk to the Golden Age Sandman, and so he would give him the premonitions and stuff like that. And then they kind of teased that connection then went over to Sandy, the Golden Boy. And so that's where they would kind of have like this almost premonition ability.
Right.
Things like that. But it kind of got redundant when you have Our Man who has, well, I can also see an hour into the future, you know? So it's like, well, you get one guy who can see an hour into the future and a guy who takes naps and wakes up and is like, Marty, your children, you know? So how do you play it out? But yeah, no, they've definitely established a connection beyond just the name.
Okay.
Yeah. Next up, we have Sheriff of Babylon. Tom King and Mitch Gerard. This is one of their early works where they teamed up together. It's a really interesting story. I started reading it. I got probably about a quarter of the way through. It's definitely interesting. It takes a good look at being a stranger in a strange land and trying to enforce law when the culture may or may not be yours. And this will be the Black Label edition. So I don't know if there's a guarantee that there will be changes to it, but you know, it's a great way to resell a book that you might have already bought.
But I'm sure that there's nobody of like notability in the book?
In the comic sphere of things. No, this is just like, hey, we just made a graphic novel.
Okay.
Here's our story. Yeah. We have Superman versus Shazam. So if you want to get some major classics.
So this is a collection of all the times they've met, not like one specific story.
Yep, just as the 8 classic confrontations. So it could be the first time these two ever fought, and then whatever, like, hey, we can reprint this one for cheap, or you know, whatever the case may be.
So are they going to have the court like issue too, like where you got Charlton Comics or Fawcett Comics and DC being like,
I don't know if they'll ever reproduce that issue of Mad that kind of pokes the bear at DC, but yeah, there was a point when Shazam was way popular than Superman, and DC said, "Oh no."
So that's
your DC side of things.
DC is it's not a lot.
Yeah, no, it definitely seems to be way more heavier on the collected edition side of things. So, but it's kind of right now. I think they're more or less going after less is more type of deal, and they will help you by having quality comics come out instead of just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. Of course, some of it is throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks, but I feel it's definitely worth it. I mean, I did sit down and read the Infinite Frontier Zero issue. I liked it. I mean, there was some stuff that I nitpicked, but again, it's comics, it's stories, it's ingested continuity. So it's like, okay, well, you know, if you're doing this or that to characters, you know, do you know the history and what are you doing with it? But they're definitely promising some future stuff to come out of it that sounds way more interesting. So it's like, okay, well, comics are always ever forward, you know, so what I may have valued as an issue doesn't mean that that's going to be carved in stone. So, you know, as long as you do the characters justice, that's always great. I am excited, though, that that's going to lead to Infinite Frontier as, I guess, like this summer's theme. Like the big story arc. So that's kind of cool because then I think Marvel's doing something infinite as well. So it's like, you too, I caught you. So that'll be fun to see how that plays out. But yeah, it definitely feels like it's only like 3 to 5 DC books now a week. And you're like, wow, that's drastic, but we'll see.
You know how when we were at Phoenix Comic Con, or I don't know if at the time it was Phoenix Fan
back in
Fest
the olden days.
Yeah, conventions, right? When we got to talk to Ron Mars, was it Ron Mars or?
I know we were in a room where he was talking.
Yeah, it was him, whoever it was.
Peter David, I think it was.
I think it was Peter David. So I think Peter David is the one that said that they'll never do a Marvel versus DC again unless comic books are really hurting for sales.
Yeah.
With COVID, have we gotten to that point? Is there a possibility of Marvel versus DC again?
And it's funny. It's a shame that those two gentlemen feel that way. Because right now we have creators. These guys talk. Donny Cates and Scott Snyder talk. Like, they talk like how you and I talk. And those guys are like, dude, what if we have the King in Black go up against the Batman Who Laughs and the Eternal Darkness? And then, and could you imagine, like all of a sudden Captain America wields a Green Lantern ring, kind of like how he did the Mjolnir, and Superman wields me. They're talking about that stuff. They're subtly putting it into their comics. Over at Image Comics, this crossover book that it's called, that's total meta texture. That's basically saying like, hey, you two, we're doing it over here without the proper licensing. Maybe you should jump on it. So I don't think it necessarily needs to be that comics are hurting, because they're really not. Like, you and I have been in this game long enough as fans that we've heard DC shutting down now, the 10th time?
Oh yeah.
They're
always on the brink of selling to Disney.
Yep, they're always So it's I really don't think we're ever getting to that point. Can sales be low? Oh, of course it can. Sometimes crap gets produced. Sometimes things happen. But the massive scope of things, no, I don't think we need DC versus Marvel to bail anybody out. But I think we need DC versus Marvel because we're fans.
Because it'd be great.
Not? Yeah. So my hope is that eventually things will liven up. I don't think it'll happen anytime soon, just because right now DC's leadership is they're new right now. So I think they want to get a hold on things, because the hard part about DC and Marvel doing a team up book is who gets republishing rights, who gets that's a huge thing. Because it's like, you don't want to disrespect characters. Because it was funny, I was looking at a couple of older articles that talked about the first time DC and Marvel put Superman and Spider-Man together. It was a one-shot book. It wasn't even titled The Brave and the Bold presents or Marvel Team Up. It was just, this is a book. It's a giant-sized treasury. Here we go. And it's like, Marvel's editors want to read it and make sure Spider-Man and company are being respected. DC's editors want to read it and make sure. So it's like, how do you cut that part out? Now, what worked with Marvel versus DC in the early 90s was the fact that Peter David and Ron Mars, Dan Jurgens, and I'm not sure who the other artist is. Might be able to cheat real quick. But anyways, they were able to cut out a lot of the bureaucracy of it, because it literally started with Mark Gruenwald pulled in Mike Carlin. And Gruenwald was a huge editor at Marvel Comics, a big comic book fan. And he basically pulled Mike Carlin into his house, and that used to be his former assistant. And now they're both the big guys over at Marvel and DC. And he's like, hey, you and me, let's do this. And it's like, okay. And then they sold it to the company. So again, like I said, Scott Snyder, Donny Cates, all they got to do is okay, let's pull Jason Aaron in their room. Let's pull Brian Michael Bendis, get some Jeff Johns in there, get, all the players to come in and be like, okay, here's what we could do,
if it led to yet another volume or round of Amalgam Comics, everybody would love to see Darkclaw again. That is literally the one character everybody remembers and clamors for when you talk about Amalgam Comics.
Yeah. Well, and can you imagine now with all the new characters we have? So it's like, okay, let's see Darkclaw's universe back, but how does X-23 play in it? So do you have her mash up with Spoiler? So Question 23 comes in and, spoiler alerts pop out of her hands. I don't know, but how cool would that be? Jason Todd is back this time, so he gets to play. How do you fit Miles Morales into Spider-Boy's world?
Or you have all of the Bat family as agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Underneath Bruce Wayne, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of thing. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Also, just from this conversation now, because we aren't going to be getting King of Black show up in the DC universe, I want to see the symbiote take over Hyperion, just to see what Superman with the Venom symbiote on him would look like. Did they already do that? Do you know?
I don't think they did it in the main series, but that's not to say that we didn't see it in one of the tie-off books. So I'll have to do a little researching. But yeah, that would be kind of cool. Like, exactly what happens when a symbiote takes over, quote unquote, Superman. You know. Yeah, wild stuff. All right, well, let's continue it on. We'll get the spinner rack going. So over at Marvel Comics, we have Black Knight, Curse of the Ebony Blade #1. So good old Black Knight recently reappeared in his own King in Black one-shot. Now we are getting a mini-series of his, and basically this is going to set him up for the movie fans, because
he's going to show up in the Eternals.
Yeah, he's going to be showing up.
Is it a new guy?
No, I think it's still Dane Whitman, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
I think that was his secret identity. So yeah, we're gonna tie into his whole history, what's going on, and how it all plays out. So this is definitely the ground floor for Black Knight and everything you want to know.
There's a few variant covers for that.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like there is quite a few. This is going to be a big one. We have the Captain America anniversary tribute. So we are going to get the 80-year. So DC's been doing it. Marvel's going to start doing it too. So we are getting an 80-year anniversary of Captain America. Captain America has now been around for 80 years. So what they're going to do is they're going to take Captain America Comics #1, and it's going to be a jam session. They're going to basically look at the old script, and they're going to have modern day artists tackle pages. So it'll be a jam book. So like Mark Brooks could be doing page 1, and then Rob Liefeld could be doing page 2. No, it'd be that crazy. But you know, that's what's going to happen. Then they're not going to just stop at Captain America Comics #1, the first appearance of Captain America. We're also getting Avengers #4 when Captain America came back in the Silver Age. So they're going to give you a twofer there. So really exciting. And it's pretty cool too, because Jack Kirby worked on both those books, because he is the co-creator of Captain America with Joe Simon back in 1941. Mm-hmm. And then we also get to see him work with Stan Lee, bringing the creation back to the Marvel age of comics. So that's going to be pretty cool. Captain Marvel issue 27 has been billed as the big one. So I believe we are going to rediscover Carol's problems with alcoholism. And then they're going to basically try to talk her out of it, talk her through it, and see what's going on. So
is that Spidey and Namor?
Yep, Spider-Man, Namor, Iron Man in the background there.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, a lot of her friends are going to come and help her out and see what's going on with good old Carol there. So that'll definitely be a turning point issue. Champions issue 5 will be out. So we get to see the young kids dealing with the grounded rule, no more superhero kids. So they'll be dealing with that outcome and see what they can do there as well. Iron Fist, Heart of the Dragon #3 will be out. So Larry Hama, one of the longtime writers in the Marvel Universe, is definitely handling Iron Fist right now. So we will see what kind of adventures he creates for us.
So because of the TV series that was on Netflix, Iron Fist has definitely become very much a joke, like a punchline. I shouldn't say a joke, but a punchline. Have you heard anything about this miniseries yet? Because I assume it's not one that you've been reviewing.
Yeah, no, it's not what I'm doing with. I really haven't heard much talk on the street, as it were.
Like I like the idea of Iron Fist or the legendary Iron Fist or the incredible Iron Fist or whatever you want to call it at this point. There's definitely some problems that I've gleaned from the property in general, but I want Iron Fist to be successful, I guess, is what it is.
Yeah, well, the problem I feel, and this is, I think you probably echo this one too. Sometimes some heroes just don't do well on their own. Mm-hmm. And Iron Fist is one of those. Like Luke Cage might be able to hold well for a while, but he won't hold well forever. So bring us back Heroes for Hire, and then bring us Heroes for Hire and then have an Iron Fist arc. That's going to sell. That's going to do it. So, it definitely was asking a lot of the character before the TV show was even put out there, regardless what people think, may have happened. We've never seen that. I mean, I love Hawkeye. I think he's a great character, but the only reason the show is going to work is because we technically have 2 Hawkeyes in that one. So it is a team up show. It's just both characters happen to be named Hawkeye. But if this was just the Adventures of Clint and Barton, it would get old after 6 episodes,
It's fair.
Yeah. So, yeah, I hope there's something good happens there. Iron Man issue 7 will be out. So Christopher Cantwell and Kafu are teaming up, and they are bringing it. This book has been fantastic. Now, again, why do I get so excited? One, because the story is amazing. And two, Scarlet Spider Ben Reilly is there. So that's always a benefit there. So I love that.
What's Ben Reilly doing with Iron Man?
So Iron Man essentially, like, he's thrown caution to the wind, and he's like, look, I'm not the upper crust anymore. I'm just a dude. So he actually winds up, they're kind of building a relationship with him and Patsy Walker.
Really?
Hellcat. Yeah.
Patsy Walker?
Yeah.
Of all people.
Yep, right?
Okay.
So they're both dealing, but they're also dealing with their demons, so that's what's kind of nice about it.
Now, is that because Patsy, well, in the comic book history, Pepper, is she dead?
No, I think she's just still be alive.
But she ends up with Happy.
Yeah. But he's dead.
Oh, Happy's dead. I didn't know that.
Dead, yeah.
It's been a very long time since I read an Iron Man comic book.
They killed him and they left him.
But Patsy Walker in the comic books looks very much like Gwyneth Paltrow from the Iron Man movies.
Yeah, stuff gets played around. Actually, if anything, if you're going to blame all this, like, you got chocolate in my peanut butter, it's because of Marvel Legends. Like, Chris Cantwell is a toy collector as well. If you follow him on Twitter, you'll see him posting stuff. And it's like, so he's just got this random smorgasbord of Iron Man, Hellcat, Scarlet Spider, Frogman, oh my gosh, Misty Knight, and I think 2 other characters in there as well. And it's just like, hey, these characters aren't doing anything, so let me create my own sort of kind of heist team, because Iron Man is like, hey, I'm going up against some major forces here. I need heroes. Well, the heroes are all busy. All right, I need bodies. Hey, I'm doing nothing. I'll team up with you.
Wow. Okay, yeah.
So
bring Patsy Walker into the limelight.
Yeah, so it's awesome. And then also, if you're a fan of the Michael Cho Silver Age style covers, definitely check that out. That'll be part of the Marvel Masterwork celebration there. If you are collecting King in Black, there will be a cover R. So there's a variant coming out if you missed out, just in case, because we're deep into this series.
And it's only $50.
Yeah, exactly. There was another one issue 3, but this will be a signed copy. There's another one. So
a lot of King in Black.
We've got King in Black Spider-Man one shot. So Jed MacKay will be bringing some adventures of Peter Parker, because in the main book, it's funny because this could kind of almost be a Spider event, but Spider-Man's not involved in his main book. He's in the miniseries, but he's tapped out all over the place. So it's like, hey, we'll just make our own one-shot issue. So that's what's going to be going on in that regard there. So we get to see what's going on with Peter Parker and the King in Black world. Marvel number 6 will be out. Again, a beautiful Alex Ross cover. These are just random stories of the Marvel universe. Various writers and artists will be teaming up to tell us lost, hidden, or new tales of what's going on.
Now, like, is this any relation to Marvels?
Kind of. It's playing in that vein of, we're going to be able to go to any time period and just tell stuff. So, like, I know the series is wrapped up with a narrative, so at the start and the end of each issue. And I think it's Nightmare might be the character on this one.
Wow.
And so he's attacking people, but the inspiration of heroes is what's helping people to overcome this stuff. Yeah. Sword issue 4 will be out. So again, this is not related to the Sword as we saw them in WandaVision. This is the actual space team, green-haired lady leader. So they're going to be dealing with the King in Black. Spider-Woman issue 10 will be out. So we have some fallout from there.
Does she have a new suit?
Yes, she does. Yeah, they recently gave her.
That?
How old is it? Gosh, I want to say maybe like a year, maybe 2 max. Yeah.
Hadn't been paying attention.
But it's a shame, because if they really want to give that suit a chance, like, one of the variant covers for the issue is the Michael Cho Marvel Masterworks cover, and then what do they reference again? The old school suit.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, you have to put it away if you want the new suit to get recognition.
This is true.
So you can't keep doing these variant covers featuring the old costume and hoping people will embrace the new. So yeah, we've got a lot of Star Wars books. So if you're fans of that, you know what to do. Thor issue 13 will be out. So there might be some ramifications of King in Black, but I think this will actually be more the idea of Donald Blake as he attacks Thor. Yeah, crazy stuff.
We recently over in Journey into Mystery watched the The Incredible Hulk Returns, which features the Thor.
Yeah.
That Thor outfit is so strange looking in comparison to the Thor costumes we've seen in comic books. Yeah, it's like, why did they decide to stray so far away? Like, I don't know. I guess they went with a straight up Viking look instead of the Asgardian look.
Yeah, but you'd think like, hey, let's put a little design, a little flair on this. But yeah, I mean, even the same thing with Daredevil. It's like, really, an all black nylon costume? Because honestly, if I remember correctly, I don't think we even got Daredevil the Man Without Fear yet, which was a miniseries that was a revamping of Matt's origin, where he wore the black costume for the first time.
So you're saying Jeff Loeb stole from?
Oh, no. That would be Frank Miller and
Frank Miller,
John Romita Jr.
Yeah,
I think they might have been like, okay, let's take this. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
But again, with Thor, if you are looking for one of the Michael Cho variant covers, the Marvel Masterworks style ones, there will be a Thor one as well.
He loves the red.
Yeah, well, I dig the theme of these. You know, it's in celebration of the Marvel Masterworks. The three tone, I guess, is what you could call it: the red, white, and black. Very interesting. But the simplicity of it is really neat. So I dig that. Ultraman did successful, so they are doing trials of Ultraman. So I don't think he is fully imbued into the Marvel universe yet, but he is definitely getting some comics out of Marvel that will help.
I always think of Trials as Shazam. Like, is it similar? Is he going through trials to become the new Ultraman?
I don't know. Like, this is issue 1, so we will find out. X-Force issue 18 will be out. Continue the wacky adventures of the mutants across everything.
Who's got the Omega symbol on their chest?
Oh, I think that's probably Kid Omega.
Oh,
so Quentin Query. Oh, that's his superhero name. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And by the way, there will be some Rob Liefeld variants because Deadpool turns 30, and so that means we need money. So definitely check those out. Moving on to collected editions, Avengers by Jason Aaron Volume 1 will be out as a hardcover. So this should collect about the first year of his adventures as helmed writer. Daredevil by Chip Zdarsky Volume 1, Heaven Through Hell will be out. Again, this collects the first year, and I highly recommend this series. It has been amazing. Like, you just this is history in the making for Daredevil. Dawn of X Volume 14 will be out, which collects the whole post-Hickman era. Hawkeye Go West will be out, so this collects an adventure of Kate and Clint as they were written by Kelly Thompson.
I'm guessing this is going to be the reference points for the show.
Sampling for that. Yep, definitely will be. Iron Man Volume 1 Big Iron trade paperback will be out. So perfect timing because we're getting issue 7, so you can pick up those first couple of issues as a trade. Juggernaut, no stopping now. So Fabian Niesca and Ron Garney teamed up to give us a brand new adventure of old Juggy. So you get to see that.
You're going to tell me there was a book for just Juggernaut, and now we're collecting it?
Yep.
Like, how old is this book?
6 months old. I mean, if it's 6 issues, literally they went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trade.
And
so,
why? I mean, why is Juggernaut going to be showing up in something, do you think?
I don't know what the plan is, but, obviously Fabian Niesca was like, hey, I got an idea. And it's like, okay,
I have a Juggernaut story. What? A Juggernaut? No one has a Juggernaut story. He belongs on team books. You don't give him a solo book.
Yeah, no, he got his own miniseries out of this, yeah.
Have you heard anything about that story?
All I remember is... my editor over at Adventures in Poor Taste reviewed the book, and I think he said something. Like, he didn't say anything massively bad. He said something, and like Fabian Niesca like retweeted and was like, this guy's crazy. What's he talking about? And it was just like, whoa, dude. Like, so I don't know. Like, I mean, overall, my editor liked the book. He said it was fine. It was just, there was something, and that one thing just hit Fabian right in the Niesca. So I don't know, man.
Well, it's probably the same thing I just said. It's like, you don't put Juggernaut in his own book. It doesn't make any sense.
Yep. Now, here's one that I have a hard time with. So the official handbook of the Marvel Universe Deluxe Edition will be collected as an omnibus. Now, kids, there was a world before there was the internet, okay? This is hard to stomach.
Don't speak of the dark times.
This was our Wikipedia, as it were. So it's tough because, so I have my comic book symmetry problem, right? So they did the official handbook of the Marvel Universe omnibus like a year ago, and that featured the very first set of books, right? And now this is like the volume 2. So it's like, ooh, okay. And then DC finally did the Who's Who, the definitive omnibus edition. And so the DC one will feature volumes 1, 2, and the short 3. So it's like, do I do it? Do I have these 3 tomes hanging out at my house that tell me nothing anymore because none of it counts, But so, I mean, I don't know. I would say if you go into this purchase, go into it as an art collector, because what will be amazing about this is these pages are by amazing artists that may no longer be living, that may no longer be drawing these characters. So that's definitely one of the best reasons to pick it up. But it does have a hefty price tag. Speaking of hefty price tags, Tony Stark Iron Man by Dan Slott will be getting the omnibus edition. So his run on Iron Man will be fully collected for you to have. So if you definitely enjoyed it, definitely check that one out. Ultraman will be getting his Rise of Ultraman miniseries collected. So if you want to keep those on your shelf for faster reference, that's the way to go. And that is your spinner rack from Marvel Comics this week.
I mean, Marvel definitely had a lot more going on than DC did this week.
Yeah, no, DC is definitely under construction. I don't think they're out of business, but they're definitely under construction. So we'll see what they're going to start bringing us. And then I'm pretty sure they'll get back up to their bigger numbers. But I will say this. Please give us more than just the Bat family.
I mean, from a publisher and unfortunately not the creatives, the other side, the money people,
the corporate
folks, like Batman sells.
Yeah, Batman sells.
And I mean, I don't care. I don't like it. I love Batman, but I love all the characters at DC.
Yeah, well, I like Batman because of Nightwing, because of Alfred. Yeah, no, exactly. That's always the tough part about it.
So, that is your spinner rack for this week. This is the moment where we're going to start talking about Justice League. It's 2017, and we're about to step into the theater. I think it was 2017. That sounds about right.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, 2017. We're about to step into the theater. We know about the controversies of this movie before it came out. We've watched Man of Steel and Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts before you went into the theater?
I was hopeful.
I
was hopeful because
the symbol stands for hope on my planet, right?
No, because I really want DC to have success when it comes to the movies. I remember watching Man of Steel. It was funny. When Man of Steel first came out, I had a terrible motorcycle accident that day. Mm-hmm. I was badly beaten up, and I didn't get to see the last bits of the movie because my friend actually wound up being hurt. So I never got to. So actually, truth be told, to this day, I don't think I've watched Man of Steel completely.
Wow.
But again, it was one of those things where what you saw in the theater, don't watch that. Watch the extended director's cut because that'll have more to it. I remember we as a group, we went and watched Batman v Superman. And I think I was the only one in the group who was like, all right, this is cool. Like, cause I saw the potential of what was coming, I was like, well, that's a reference scene out of Crisis on Infinite Earths. And I had hope. And plus I had read an article. There was, an article out a while ago where Zack Snyder said he has a 5-movie plan for Superman. So you have to bear with it. You have to trust him. And it's like, okay, well, we're 2/5 of the way in and it's not a good looking 2/5. So let's see what happens. And, we need a Justice League to be successful because remember when they threw out that big slate of movies like, oh, you're going to have Green Lantern in 2019. It's 2021 and there ain't no green, So anyway, so it was like, okay, I want this to be successful. I really want to have, an Avengers movie on my shelf. I really want to have a Justice League movie on my shelf. And I want to be proud of both of these. And the movie came and I saw it in theaters and it was hokey. It was just like, okay. But again, I also understand that sometimes these movies, they have to keep kids in mind. It was definitely a massive divorce from what we had seen before. Knowing about, what was going on prior to that, with Zack Snyder's family, him stepping away, and then essentially DC being like, oh, cool, since you stepped away, you're fired. Mm-hmm. I was like, wow, that's jacked up.
I mean, this is the weird thing about this whole debacle. Like, we were given one set of information. It's not necessarily untrue. He did want to step away because a terrible tragedy happened in his family.
Yeah.
And then we now know a lot more information.
Yeah.
It's all very, very muddled because there's not a lot of being said, but there is a lot being said. Like, I know that sounds stupid, but it's very weird. Him stepping away, and we're getting Joss Whedon come in. I assume that most of the fans, I'm not talking about specifically Snyder Cut fans or specifically Marvel fans, but I would say people like you and myself who love comic books and also have loved like the Marvel movie so far, like we're thinking, hey, the director of Avengers, who am I wrong? Did you love the Avengers?
Oh, I enjoyed Avengers. Yeah.
Is coming in to do Justice League movie. Like, oh yeah, that sounds great. Like, it sounds like they're going to try and do something. I honestly didn't think that he was going to change up the movie. I thought he was just.
I know. I was like, I got to finish 5 minutes. You know, like I'm going to get a fat check to do not a lot. You know, yeah.
As we come to find out now, is that DC Films and Warner Brothers execs got very scared after Batman v Superman. It did not return the way that they had planned for it to do. This was a huge movie for them. This is, as you put it, you get to see Batman and Superman on the same screen in live action.
Yep, that's the
from
first
two
time.
actors that really embodied what the characters are supposed to look like.
Yeah.
Like Ben Affleck put on a lot of muscle to play this character.
Right?
Henry Cavill is built to be Superman.
Yeah.
And then they introduced Wonder Woman. Like, you got Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman in this movie.
Yep, and even she transformed too, because I remember when they announced her, I went to go look her up, and I think at the time, like, her main thing was obviously the Fast and the Furious. And I was like, she's petite. Like, she is super petite. How is she going to be Wonder Woman? Like, Wonder Woman is an Amazon, and she did it. She did a great job.
So that movie had everything going for it, but it's just, to me as a comic book fan, and I can't talk for everybody, but to me as a comic book fan, it just didn't have the right feel for a Batman Superman team up. It's very much wanted to do the Dark Knight Returns and Doomsday and bits of Crisis on Infinite Earths, right?
Yeah.
So it was not the right second film for this franchise.
Well, and I'm right there with you. And honestly, it didn't have heart.
It didn't.
You know, it's like, that's cool that you can give me that image of Batman jumping and there's a lightning strike behind him. That's cool that you can put Doomsday in this film. And that's great that you can have a Flash who runs to Batman and he's like, you have to stop it. You have to stop it, as he's fading out. But
all those scenes just
they
by
mean
themselves,
nothing.
they don't mean anything.
Like, we don't know what a Flash is. We don't care about Doomsday. And especially, like, I mean, if you really think about it, right? Like, look at the history of Doomsday. When he first appears in Superman comics, that was huge. And it wasn't even necessarily the fact of Doomsday was just the vehicle to get us to remember to care about Superman. You know, just the whole trilogy, you know, the death, the funeral, and the reign. That was where it was at.
I mean, what's the story every year at the DC Summit?
Yeah.
Who is
Jerry
it?
Ordway. Just kill him.
Let's kill Superman.
Kill him, yeah.
Are you crazy? Get out of here.
Yeah. Hey, we can't marry him. Hey, Jerry, what was that idea? Oh, now you want it, huh? Yeah, no. I'll try to put this quick, but it was like, as Doomsday got used more, he became less. And even when DC kicked off their animated films, that was the first one, Superman Doomsday, right? And we were so excited. And they had that weird scene with Luthor parading around a bunch of naked clones of Superman being like, you're finally mine. It was like, this is an animated movie. This is like, the fact that I'm watching it is already depressing enough because I'm a grown man. But now I'm scared because I'm a grown man watching this and I know you're going to share this with kids. Like, no, dude, that is going to mess things up huge. Like, that is not what it's about. So they've lost the essence. So it's like, yeah, it's cool to, like, you know, and it's like we've always said, like, people will put the Superman S on anything, but it's not necessarily that is what making Superman is Clark Kent. So when we know those bits and pieces behind it, and I'll still stand with this argument. We don't have Clark Kent. Like, this is the adventures of Kal-El. He never became Clark Kent. So that was a big part of it. The changing of Pa Kent. So yeah, that second film, it had a lot of cool ideas, but it's like, well, lobster is tasty. peanut butter is tasty, and asparagus is great. But if I put all three of those together, they might not make a great meal. I don't know. That's just my taste.
So as we're being told now, facts could change.
Right.
At that time, Joss Whedon was given the directive to make the movie less than 2 hours, make it more comical, and cut out certain parts, like things that are just not going to be fit with this design that they wanted. So he had to take the footage that was already shot by Zack Snyder, make it brighter, put in more comedy. So you get a scene where the Flash stumbles and falls on top of Wonder Woman, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to touch you." There, kind of thing, which is funny because if you go back to Age of Ultron, which is also directed by Joss Whedon, there is a scene where Bruce Banner falls on top of Black Widow, like the same exact way,
same thing?
And he's like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to."
Oh my god, that can't be the nexus point between these.
So, in the movie flopped. It just flopped. Like, once again, this is supposed to be comic book fans thing. We get to see the team, the Justice League on screen, and you hope that it's done well so that you can see more.
Yeah.
And it's just not. Like, this is the Justice League is the book for the Justice League is the return of Superman, like, from death. Like,
yeah.
To me, that's the Man of Steel 2. Like, that's when you do that story. Justice League should be them already coming together to take down a bigger threat. Yes, that is eventually what they did, but they picked Steppenwolf. Like, why? Who?
Yeah. Well, and it's a shame because it's like Steppenwolf could have been a good villain. Obviously the comics kind of like, okay, what's coming down? Here's what we're going to start doing. If you read Earth 2, they use Steppenwolf as the big baddie.
Really?
Yeah. And he comes through and he decimates the heroes. He kills Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. So that's why Alan Scott, Jay Garrick, and Ted Grant have to rise up. And it was like, okay, like this could have been something. But again, that should have also been like, hey, Jeff Johns, since you're writing Justice League right now, can you sneak him in? You know, maybe Darkseid War, as cool as it was going to be with the idea of Darkseid versus the Anti-Monitor, right? But it didn't happen. Maybe that could have been Darkseid versus Steppenwolf, because if I remember correctly, Steppenwolf is like Darkseid's dad. So that could have been cool. Like, here's Shakespeare, you know, a young son wants to be king. He can't be king if your dad's alive. So it's like, all right. And, you know, their big battle's going to take place on Earth. And the League is like, oh crap, Superman's dead. And we're going to have to save Earth. Okay. We rise up to the challenge. Yeah. They had something, but they did nothing.
And then you have the collection of mother boxes, like as if it's the Infinity Stones or the rings from Lord of the Rings. I don't know. It just seemed very strange, like throw-in add-on for the story. Like they needed some MacGuffin. It's like, no, the creation of the Justice League is the thing that brings people together. You don't need this weird chase.
Let's go grab these items, and that's what's going to make it happen.
So.
Yeah,
I don't assume those things are going to change for this version of the movie that we're going to be getting.
Well, there definitely will be something, because actually it's interesting. The actor who played Steppenwolf, I don't know his name. He's a big actor though.
He's the guy who was also the villain in
Ghost Rider 2.
Ghost Rider 2.
Yeah.
I forget his name at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of those actors who's like, oh, you see his face, you know you've seen him in things. He was in Lord of the Rings. He's in all these other things.
Yeah, but he really is one of the first voices to let us know that once that movie was released, and even he saw it, he's like, I don't remember making this film. Like, where's all the motion caption work I did? Where's all these speeches I gave? So it's like, wow. So that was kind of something's fishy here, you know? I love the fact though that Justice League now will finally give movie fans the taste that we've had as comic book fans, where it's like, you know, like Hal Jordan used to be this way, and then all of a sudden somebody wrote him like, he's like, oh, I'm anti-flying, and then a new writer comes and is like, man, forget all that, here's what should have happened. Like, congratulations, welcome to continuity changes, you know. So yeah, fans are gonna get to experience, movie fans are gonna experience that feel that we get every 6 months.
I will tell you this. Batman v Superman and Justice League have retroactively make me enjoy Man of Steel a lot more. Like, when I first watched Man of Steel, I was like, this doesn't feel like the Superman that I read. Like, it does not feel. It doesn't. I had a lot of issues with it.
Yeah.
But in comparison to those other two, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll watch Man of Steel, no problem.
Yeah, no, and like I said, to me, that's the problem with it. Like, I've been delving more into the backside of DC films, and like I look at stuff, and it's like, I mean, I want to ask you a question. Well, this is non-rehearsed. This is right off the top of your head, so I'll give you a moment. What's the last DC movie that you watched that you felt like you saw the actual characters on the screen?
Oh, I saw the actual characters on the screen?
When you watch this, you were like, that is Batman, or that is Harley Quinn, or that is, some character I don't care about. Because there was a big phrase, it was right around the time of Guardians of the Galaxy, when they were like, DC takes characters you love and makes you wonder who they are. Marvel takes characters who you don't know and gets you to love them. Uh-huh. And it's like right before Guardians of the Galaxy, I didn't give a crap about Marvel Space. I hated Marvel Space. I hated whenever the X-Men went to the Shi'ar. I hated it. And even though I'm a Green Lantern fan, you think I should love Space? No, I cannot stand Marvel Space. I remember when Annihilation came out, I pulled those comics at Diane's store at FanQuest, and I was like, nope, I'm not getting this for myself. Heck no, this is stupid. It's going to flop. And it was successful. It did it again. And the creative team DNA did a wonderful space trilogy set of stories, and that was enough to really influence the movie. It was like, wow. And I went back and paid a lot more money for secondary sellers, but I went and collected the set, and I loved it. I was like, I was such a fool. But when you really sit down and think about DC movies, it's like I had to come around to loving Green Lantern, because obviously I'm not going to get another film. And I might not ever get to see Hal Jordan in live action again, just because the stink is on him. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay. So that's always going to be the tough part. But, when's the last time you sat in a theater and you're like, I finally saw the heart up there. I saw the characters the way they were. And
okay. So I don't think I've gotten that from the whole movie yet. Uh-huh. Except for I really enjoyed Shazam. Okay. Now,
that's a good one.
Is that Billy Batson? Is that Captain Marvel from the comic books? It's definitely changed.
The comics have changed to make it to match that. Yeah,
exactly. But I did enjoy that movie. I feel like I liked Black Canary in Birds of Prey. Now, is that exactly the same as Laurel Lance or Dinah Lance? Probably not. Like, I think there are definitely certain aspects. Like that version of Dinah Lance is the one that's from All-Star Batman and Robin, which we don't really care for. We don't really talk about. But I think that actress did well. Wonder Woman. I think the first Wonder Woman movie definitely captures Wonder Woman in the heart. I don't care for the Steve Trevor character in that version of the movie, but I think the Wonder Woman version did well.
Okay, yeah. For me, it was Batman Begins.
Oh, you're gonna go back that far.
It's been that long.
I mean, I love Batman Begins. Yeah. Of that trilogy, I love that one the most. Yeah. I know everybody loves the Dark Knight, which is a good movie.
It's a great film.
It's a great movie.
It's a great film. But
Batman Begins is the one that I love out of the three.
Yeah, it's just because I finally got to see Bruce on the journey. Mm-hmm. You and I have both been echoing that. We want to see Detective Bruce. That would be fantastic one of these years. Mm-hmm. But I just remember watching that and I was like, wow! Like I said, wow. I remember discovering a superhero. Mm-hmm. I loved it. I enjoyed it. That felt the heart of the character. Like, this is what now people can be excited to talk about. Then obviously, I'll probably forget movies here and there, but The Dark Knight came out. Well, that was the Hot Topic Joker, as we all called him. I mean, it was still a great performance, don't get me wrong, but my Joker isn't that Joker.
No, mine isn't either. But Heath Ledger did a great job.
Oh, he did a great job. I'm not knocking that.
We all know that.
It's just the Joker, I'm used to the zanier Joker,
Mark Hamill's Joker.
Yeah, I want those big, goofy elements, giant typewriters, But again, it was grounded in reality. So I was like, okay, that's cool. The Dark Knight Rises. It's a slow film. It's a long burn. Again, probably rewatching it, I might have a better respect for it, but I do remember kind of being bored in the movie theater, not to sound mean. Green Lantern. I think they gave us too much at once. And again, Green Lantern is when I really started seeing the studio get too involved, where it's like, okay, what's that old phrase? Too many cooks spoil the soup. And which is a shame, because if they had played their cards right, I don't know if you remember this, but it was the MTV Movie Awards, and they were so excited. They actually had Christian Bale and Brandon Routh there we got to see Superman and Batman. And they made that a thing. Like, it's Superman and Batman. It was like, wow. So could you imagine that we could have, maybe they could have kept Christian Bale's Batman there. They could have, hey, let's give Brandon Routh's Superman another try and let's connect it to the Green Lantern movie world. And they could have started their movieverse. Granted, yes, there was also Justice League Mortal, and that was a sad victim of the
I want to see
writer's
that
strike.
so bad to see what that was going to be. It sounds so interesting.
It's definitely got a good hook, the process application, that'll be always the question on our minds, but it definitely sounded like it had more heart than what we've seen.
I don't know if I care for the casting for Justice League Mortal.
That part, I definitely side with you on that. But it was like, so then, after Green Lantern flopped, boom, like there goes the DC universe that could have been the MCU, so that was heartbreaking. Wonder Woman was great. I nitpick because I've always appreciated Wonder Woman being a World War II hero. And when they did make the change to World War I, and there is a lot of history with World War I, and it's huge, but when they start changing the characters like that, like, I don't know, it's a blessing and it's a curse. Like to me, when I see Matt Murdock, he is blonde. And that's important because you don't have that many blonde superheroes. And every time they do him on the show, it's like, well, let's give him black hair. Let's give him red hair. And it's like, come on.
See, I always thought he was a redhead.
Sometimes they draw him that way, sometimes they don't, but he's always been a blonde. It's just I
remember the only time I remember seeing him as a blonde was the 90s Spider-Man cartoon.
Yeah, the cartoon,
Yeah.
God bless those cartoons. But I bet those things are huge. And, and I know nowadays we live in a world where we want more inclusiveness and we want more representation, which is totally fine. But to me, those things are important. Like, when the Punisher is left-handed, that's a huge part because there was a story to that, So I've learned to kind of divorce those two, but it's as time marches along, it's not just superficial things that are changing, it's everything's changing, and it's like, well, we've seen that in the comics. Yes, like Black Canary is a perfect example. Black Canary got so convoluted, they were like, let's just make her own mother, and bloop, now we have two characters. But that was great creative because we got more. We have a legacy now. So it's always going to be tough. But yeah, that Batman Begins was the last time I really felt a movie had heart. I was really hoping Justice League was going to be that. I really bought into Zack Snyder's idea of this 5-movie, deal where it was Justice League, the Man of Steel 2, and to end in Justice League 2. I was like, okay, this is going to be awesome. And like you said, it was like, okay, like, yeah, Josh Whedon should just be coming in and being like, I'm only going to add maybe 15 minutes of film. That's about it. And now we come to find out, and even Zack Snyder's been talking about, it's like, what Russian family? What are you talking about? What about this? What about, like, wow, how much of this is really his film? How much of this is Josh Whedon's film? That's crazy.
So going into tomorrow, what do you think that you're going to see? Are you planning on watching it?
I want to watch it as soon as I can, but work will
right.
Work will decide how well I get out of. It's
going to be 4 hours, so that's a lot to watch.
Yeah, that is. The good thing is I'm taking college classes, so it's spring break. Thank goodness. I want to watch it just because movies have been rare because of the way the world has been. So I'm excited for it. But I'll be honest with you, I don't want to put it on a pedestal. I don't want to have hope. Which is sad to say now to hear it. And I don't know if I want to get too excited because it sounds like the movie's going to end on a cliffhanger.
Oh, it's definitely going.
And it's going to be like,
he said that.
And so it's like, well, then what the hell's the point? Like, even when they did Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut, like decades later, at least Richard Donner had the decency to be like, I will give you an ending. Even though it's the ending of Superman the movie, you still get an ending and it's okay. Like, I'm not going to be like, let me open Pandora's box and be like, ha ha ha, like, no, dude.
I think some people are definitely in their heads that this movie is going to do so well.
Bring it all
HBO.
back.
They're going to be like, go ahead, Zach, finish off your
story.
I don't know if that's true.
Ben Affleck's going to magically change his life to do these movies, and not to say that his life is bad, but I don't think I think even Ben Affleck's kind of like, dude, I'm done with Batman.
And they have another Batman.
Yeah, that's true too.
They have Robert Pattinson come in to play the Batman. So,
but then again, we're bringing back Michael Keaton, and rumor is maybe even Christian Bale. So
I don't know about all that. Anyways,
hey, Michael Keaton's confirmed. I saw it on the
Michael
internet.
Keaton has confirmed. Oh, so it must be true.
Yes.
Yeah, Michael Keaton has confirmed, but I don't know. Hey, we are going to be getting, we know for a fact that we're going to be getting the Green Lantern Corps in the Justice League movie at some place. It's probably not going to be Hal Jordan.
It's not going to be Ryan Reynolds popping up.
It's not going to be any.
Wow!
It might not be any particular name that we know. It's just going to be random
alien.
Yeah, random alien.
I hope it's Abin Sur. Honestly, if they could give me Abin Sur, that would be cool.
That would be
at least
cool.
that'd be like, hey, 2814 representation. Cool.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. That would be great because he should be there.
Yeah.
If this is the other time that Doomsday came to Earth and was going like, hey, what are you doing? This is your sector. Like,
do your job, bro. And honestly, it's crazy because like, depending on how we want to look at stuff, like think back to New Frontier. Mm-hmm. That's the formation of the Justice League, right? Mm-hmm. It was Hal Jordan.
Yep.
It was not Green Lantern. Mm-hmm. And even then too, like I was looking at one of those, the DC fan sites, like the Wikipedia specifically for that. And there's even an actual comic book story where they were basically saying that. I was like, yeah, when this invasion was happening, it was Hal Jordan doing more of the action than actual Green Lantern. So you're like, okay, yeah, maybe, so maybe they get that Dan actor who was supposedly cast as Hal Jordan and maybe he does a flyby. Hey, that's even more than I could have hoped for, But yeah, no, I hope if they play their cards right, do Abin Sur. Because when they did it in the Josh Whedon Justice League, Yatmat Ghul or something like that, he actually was a character. He was when Alan's meteor came to Earth, this evil dragon got it and formed the lantern.
Right.
And then that's when the people, luckily, when they beat him, they imprisoned him and stuck him in the lantern. Or I guess more like a genie's lamp, an Aladdin's lamp. And then as time traveled, it eventually was reshaped to an engineer's lantern or a train lantern and, ran into Alan Scott. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So that was a neat little tidbit of history for one comic. Green Lantern Volume 3, number 19. Go dollar bin it right now.
So yeah, going into Zack Snyder's Justice League as it's properly titled, I'm going to watch it. I have absolutely no high hopes for it, so it can only go up.
Yeah.
Am I going to be ecstatic about it? Probably not. Like I know everybody's like, even the early like tweets from people that got to see it because they won some kind of contest or something like that.
Right.
Like everybody's like, oh, this is the best. It's going to make you love Zack Snyder's Justice League all over again. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, come on. Like, really? Like, you kind of got a bias too. You won a contest. Like, you wanted to be there.
Like you are, yeah.
So it's, to me, I don't want to shit on it already, but like, I don't see how, like, I love Zack Snyder too. Like 300 was a great movie. Watchmen was a great movie. I like Sucker Punch. Most people don't like it. I like it.
This is
true. But like, those two movies already were just bad. Yeah. And maybe I'm too close to the material. Maybe that's what it is.
It's a hard thing. Like you might be going through, I did with the X-Men films. Like
yeah.
I knew their history so well that when I watched X-Men #1, I kind of walked out of the theaters super sad.
Like, what is this?
What did I just watch? Everybody else is like, oh my God, mutants. Yay. I just hope I'm entertained. I guess that's all I can.
Yeah.
But I swear to you, Mitch, if I have to hear that Hallelujah song, I will lose it. And I know I'm going to hear it. Why? Because everybody's posted the credits and it says special thanks to, and it names all the writers and artists. And you can see in the subtitles, it says Hallelujah. And I'm like, oh man. So that's the only thing I don't want. I just don't want those long music shots, where then it goes super slow motion. And then I got to hear that.
You're going to get super slow motion. That's one thing Zack Snyder loves to do.
So yeah. I'll bring my stress ball.
Let's get into talking about Vision Quest. Tell me, what are the issues that we're going to be talking about here?
Okay, so this is going back to a little known comic book, the West Coast Avengers. So back in the day, the Avengers was just one team in New York. Then they decided, like, hey,
there's
DC's
a whole other
doing
side
great
of the
there's a whole side of the U.S. that needs help. But DC was finally like, hey, they're doing multiple DC books of teams. Why not us? So Hawkeye went west, and luckily he got the West Coast Avengers to happen and to take. So issues 42, 43, 44, and 45 will be the story that contains Vision Quest. Now, in the Vision Quest, this is like John Byrne had just taken over the book pretty much. So he took it over as writer and artist. We are at a time where we see the lineup consisting of Scarlet Witch, Hawkeye, Hank Pym, and he was not wearing a superhero moniker at the time. He was just wearing more like his safari gear stuff. Tigra, Wonder Man, Wasp, and Mockingbird. And Mockingbird had actually just come back for this issue because old Hawkeye and Mockingbird were married and they were having problems. So with that, you know, while I love these comics and the stories that they give us, I am kind of glad that they are not officially adapted as they were in the comics, because it seems like that era of comics was super anguishy. You know, like everybody had to have a 2-page rant and be angry at somebody. You know, it's like, hey, Mitch, how are you doing? I'm okay. Why do you got it? You know, like, it was like, whoa, everybody chill down a bit, you know? But so anyway, so we get to see Immortus as one of the villains in this, and that'll be interesting because he's also known as Kang. So that'll definitely play up. The baby twins were there, Billy and Tommy, and they were such non-characters. So it was very, very interesting to see. This takes us all the way back to the magical time period of March 1989. So Batman is just about to light up the big screen so you can see where comic books were. Hell of a story, dude. Hell of a story, because, you know, the Avengers West Coast, they're similar to the Justice League International. So they're like this happy bunch of people. Well, not necessarily happy. As I said, they were all anguishy, but they were just this group of characters that, you know, it was all the different flavors and they worked well together. But anyway, so yeah, Mockingbird comes back. The Avengers wake up after onslaught upon onslaught upon onslaught, and then it's like, hey, where's Vision? Where's he at? And then Mockingbird comes in and she's like, well, I can tell you because I helped kidnap him. Mm-hmm. And everybody just loses their collective stuff. It's like, wait, what? So we discover that Mockingbird had been tricked by quote unquote S.H.I.E.L.D. And so she gave them some protocols on how to take down the Avengers West Coast should the heroes ever go rogue. And there was a precedent because prior to this series even existing, the Vision was going all kinds of bananas. He met up with the computer program Isaac, which kind of took away some of his inhibitions. And then so Vision started having grander schemes of protecting everybody. And he's the one who led to Hawkeye like, hey, you should make an Avengers West Coast. And then Hawkeye's like, I should make an Avengers West Coast. And so then it happened. But then Vision said, hey, I got too powerful. I got too involved, so I'll step away. And so him and Scarlet Witch went to go have their own happy little life. And then we read about that in the Scarlet Witch Vision, or the Vision and Scarlet Witch maxi series, just to discover that it wasn't as happy as they had planned. So Vision and Wanda come to live with the Avengers in their West Coast mansion. And then the shenanigans begin. So yeah, we see that Mockingbird had been tricked. She helped this team of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents to develop a plan on how to take down the Vision, and it turns out that this S.H.I.E.L.D. team is actually government officials from all over the world, including the United States. So it's like, wait, what? Even the U.S. is down with like, yeah, dude, take the Vision. And this leads to, I think it was issue 43, where we have that famous scene that we just saw in WandaVision, where Wanda finally breaks into the facility and she sees Vision dismantled. Mm-hmm. And just crazy to see. And so the Avengers get to a point where they recover all his pieces. Hank Pym rebuilds him, and he turns him on. And then, of course, the Vision, as soon as he turns on, the first thing he wants to do is fight. So because he remembers being attacked. And then just the weird process of being born. Apparently, we're all angry. Maybe that's why we cry. But so anyway, so Vision is now like, okay, well, I am what I am, but I'm not who you thought I was. And the reason why he's White Vision is because he sees no need to be colorful, because
it takes energy.
Yeah, it takes energy. I could better use it elsewhere. But U.S. Agent, who just recently joined the team, is like, well, you can't stand there being around naked, young man. And so the Vision kind of makes a little bit of a superhero motif costume. And then that's where we see that. So yeah, this is the story where we do meet White Vision for the first time, and you're just going to see Wanda in pain. Because sadly, I don't know from your take on it, but as I was reading it didn't really feel like the Avengers cared. They were like, at least we got Vision back, but it's not Vision. Hey, toaster's a toaster, okay? We got it. We're okay.
Now, the idea here is that with this story, the anti-Vision story, and what's that last one that you sent me? The one where
the Avengers Solo.
The Avengers Solo. Just the Vision. Like, these are the parts that they wrote in the comic books to get us back to a Vision that we kind of knew before his disassembling. This could definitely be the roadmap to what it is that they're going to use to get the Vision going forward in the MCU, right? Yeah.
No, there's definitely it's potential, and at the very least, it's an exciting adventure for you to take as a reader to see, okay, what's going on, because as we see his body dismantled, his mind corrupted, and then in this set of stories, this Issues for Vision Quest, we see the body rebuilt, but the mind is not there.
And I love the way that you put it in the text message between it to us. These are the issues where he gets his body. This is the issue where he gets his heart and soul. This is the issue where he's back to being together.
I have my moments.
So yeah, his body being put back together is a jaw dropper, because you're right. He's not him. He doesn't have, as they keep referring to it, the engrams, right? He doesn't have the personality that he used to have. Even in that later story, he ends up, they say that they use some other random dude's engrams to throw in there instead of Simon Williams or something like that.
Yeah, so let's see. So in Vision Quest, we get the dismantling, but then the rebirth of the body. Then the next arc that I would recommend people read takes us to... I think it was Avengers issues 359 to 363. Now that was interesting. I don't know, again, with your take on that, but it was kind of fun to meet Black Knight and Cersei. Mm-hmm. It was like, okay, these people are wild, these Eternals and stuff like that. They kind of seemed like jerks. I don't know. They just had no personality, and they didn't care. But anyways, that's a different segment. But so there we meet the Anti-Vision, as he was aptly named. And dude, I hated him. I mean he tried to rape Crystal.
This is a Vision from another Earth,
multiverse,
dimension.
Yeah. Him and his crew come to our Earth. They're under the sway of an evil Dane Whitman, as we just named earlier for the Black Knight, and he's on a quest to eliminate Cersei in all the multiverse, because that's his ex-girlfriend. He's like, and so he brings his squad with him, and one of them is their Vision, so he's dubbed the Anti-Vision. They kidnap our Vision, they mind swap the two, and so that's where Vision finally gets his green and yellow body back again. Right. And I remember that costume in the 90s. I liked it. And now I'm like, I don't know if I like it so much.
It's not the good body.
Yeah. But so anyway, he's just like, okay, and Anti-Vision, dude, what a creeper, what a scumbag. But so they managed to defeat him. And that's a big important character, because he'll come into play later on. And then I think it was, Avengers Spotlight number 40, where we get luckily the Vision is acting erratic, and he's like, well, I guess I should go see a therapist. But
dude, this story is so weird, and it's drawn like, I do not care for the art in this story. Like, it's so 90s. It's the most 90s looking thing that I've ever read in my life. And everybody's so angry. Like,
yes, that angst.
It's just so angry. Like, they are, like you said earlier, like, hey, how's your morning? It's great.
I'm doing great. Thanks for reminding me of my dead parents. Martha.
It's just so, it was all over the place. And then the middle part where all of a sudden he's a dime store detective, dime store book detective. What is going on here? Him making out with Jocasta?
It's your stepmom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
Yeah. No, honestly, I think the only one that I could really stomach, I think it was issue 3 or maybe it was issue 4, but when I wish I could remember the name of the other fellow that he got his new brainwaves from.
His new engrams from.
But the fact that Simon Williams,
it's John something.
Yeah.
I read it not too, or a while ago, but it was just a random name, it seemed like.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he was totally a non-character. They just created him to kind of play with the idea of getting a personality. And so, like I said, Avengers Spotlight issue 40, that comic did go up in price value.
Really?
When I sent you the link, I was curious, and I looked on eBay, and it was like $5 to $10. Now it's like in the 50s and rising. It's like, oh my God. But yeah, I found it really exciting that those two pieces of personality were trying to save the Vision as a whole. So you're like, okay, that's really awesome that they recognize, like, hey, the whole body is in danger, so we're going to do what we can as well. Lipton, that was his last name. I want to say James Lipton, but I think that's
the actor studio
guy,
guy.
Yeah,
I think it was John
Alexander Liver. There
okay, I was completely off.
Yeah, so Alexander Lipton and even Simon Williams' mind, they form their own personalities. But yeah, it was so random because it's like, oh, well, why were you a dime store detective? Well, because Alex Lipton was a cop. And since Simon Williams is an actor, that's why we became that way. But I'm laughing because Simon Williams' brain at that time when they made the recording, like, a lot of this stuff doesn't make sense, but it's comics. But it's like, okay, Simon Williams never met Scarlet Witch. Like, when he first appears back in Avengers number 9, Wanda is a member of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. So maybe he's like, oh, that's an attractive looking villainess. Like, maybe that's all he's got. He is not an actor. He is a failed engineer, biochemist, or whatever his, whatever Williams Tech was making at the time, so it's like, that's where he's at. He didn't become an actor until he was like, oh, I'm essentially Superman, so I could be a stunt double. Okay, cool. So it's just like, that is so random. Like, why?
The evolution of the character is just, it's all over the place.
Yeah, but
no wonder they haven't brought him into the MCU yet. Like, where, how do you bring him in?
God.
What's the story? Like, I know James Gunn has tried to with the whole Nathan Fillion as the, playing him as the actor in different stuff, but like, where would you bring that character in? It's just very strange.
Well, it is. And it gets even stranger too, because it's like, okay, so how is Simon Williams connected to the Guardians? Well, because back when it was the Guardians of the Galaxy in the year 3000 with Yondu as a comic book character, not as a space pirate, they have a character who's like over 1,000 years old, and his name is Hollywood, and he's an old man, and that turns out to be Simon Williams. That's also the first time we get the Vision named Mainframe. So Vision and Wonder Man survived into the future. But it's like, yeah, I don't think we do that because that's just too convoluted. How do we, yeah. That's why I'm hopeful Baron Zemo does well. And maybe he's like, hey, let's take this guy who is mad at Tony Stark and give him ionic powers. Yes.
We got him.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's also a part in that book where you have Vision wearing a jacket and hat, and then like Ultron is wearing this furry like bomber jacket. I'm like, what is going on here? Ultron is wearing a jacket to try and disguise himself. You're a big walking like robot man. Like, you don't even have a real face, and you're drinking alcohol. Like,
you're not Bender.
It's just so weird. Like,
oh yeah.
I don't know. It was
it was very much a weird story. Yeah, again, this was, mid to late 90s of comics. I think this is Fabian Nieska, if I remember correctly.
Oh, no.
So he's going to get mad at one of us, at both of us. But it was just so angsty. It didn't make sense because I'm laughing at that. I'm thinking about that scene. It's like Ultron's in a bar with a jacket and hat drinking, and everybody's cool with it. And then all of a sudden he's like, as they start talking and punching each other, then all of a sudden, oh, wait a minute, there's two robot men fighting. It's like, Ultron's not wearing pants. You should have been able to tell.
Did you not notice they were robot people before?
Yeah, like how it is so random-esque. And the best part is, so again, dear readers, if you take our advice and you read this, read it when you have some downtime. Read it when there's nothing massive to go after. But again, how does this dovetail in the MCU? Well, Vision's out there and Ultron's out there. So maybe these two guys link up to
in a bar.
To find themselves, maybe we get that scene somewhere along the lines. Because there is a father-son connection between the two, and that did make it over into the MCU. But the comics themselves, it's just like it's good to get to see more of the Vision. Like you'll learn more about his character. But yeah, they are so just like, I used to have a hard time reading Silver Age books because they were very much written for, I'm going to say this, but dumb kids. Like, hey, you must be stupid, so let's explain everything to you, you know? And you're like, okay, well, it is what it is. 90s comics, it's like, God, were we angry? Like, I mean, I know Jeremy Spoken was out and was a big song, but my God, like, you know, like even Jarvis yells in some of these back issues, and you're like, Jarvis is a happy-go-lucky dude. Like, yeah.
But as you're getting to it, these three stories,
yes,
are essential roadmap back to the Vision.
Rebuilds the Vision.
Yeah.
So, check out the Vision Quest. Go to that Avengers Spotlight 40. Go to those Avengers 359 to 363, and then cap it off with this Vision miniseries. I do feel so. There's a. It's funny with that Noir detective. So years ago, or decades ago now, they did Martian Manhunter, American Secrets. And it was Martian Manhunter kind of like, hey, I'm going to wear my fedora. Here's looking at you, kid. You know, Mitch, play off the piano. I'm leaving the room now, you know, doing that type of style. And there's been a lot of links sometimes where it's like, well, you know, Vision and Martian Manhunter, it makes sense. They're both kind of the heart and soul of the team, yet they are the most non-human of the group, you know? And so I almost feel like maybe I think this is Fabian Nieska who wrote this. Like, this is almost his like, oh yeah, well, I could craft one too. I could give you an American Noir Vision, and it just turned weird. So yeah.
I think one of the biggest takes I take from this is that you said in the middle story in there, Black Knight and Cersei show up. So you're telling me Vision's going to show up in the Eternals? You know,
honestly, I like after reading these, it was like, wow, maybe that makes sense. Maybe because, like, as I was looking at the Eternals in that, like, they're humanoid looking, but they are not human in personality,
and they're not Earthlings.
Yeah,
they're beings from They're related to the Celestials, right?
I think so. Like they change their origin all the time because they're supposed to be the Eternals of myth, you know. So it's like, oh, you guys were running around with Hercules and all that stuff. But yeah, they get played off as like, you know, essentially they're Thanos's people. So Thanos is a deviant because he's ugly, and all the beautiful people are Eternals. And so it's
sounds like okay. New Gods and
we don't say that word. But yes, New Gods and Dark Gods. Yeah,
right.
No. It's gonna be, hey, let's take Kirby's stuff and put it up there before the other guy does it.
Kirby, the other guy's Kirby also.
Yeah. So it was something else, but yeah. Like I will say, taking that from these readings, it was great to see the struggle that Vision went through. I always liked Victor Shade, so it was cool to like, okay,
that's right.
You know, that was introduced.
I forget that was one of his
aliases. So I thought that was pretty fun. And I just did not realize that that's a big chunk of Vision's life that I didn't know about, because I had known about the dismantling, and I didn't know how he got to that new green and yellow costume. So I remember having the action figure of Anti-Vision, but he was the Vision.
Right.
He had a cloth cape, and I was like, this guy is so cool. Like, I think I had to trade like 3 old Toy Biz figures to get him from my friend, and I was so happy to finally get one. Yeah, because it was part of the Marvel's Gold line. And for those who know, you know. Those who don't, you're lucky. But so anyways, you know, I was just very curious because I think even that costume popped up because I think Vision was a playable character in either Marvel vs. Capcom or Marvel Superheroes. Because you got to see White Vision in Avengers or Captain America and the Avengers back on Super NES. So it's so funny how, like, the first times we see Vision, he's not even in his classic duds. It's like, oh, here's the White Vision costume. Here's the Evil Vision costume. There you go. And you know, then we've seen the movie costume. We have yet to see classic.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so it was definitely interesting. I'm glad to learn more about the character. I do want to find some follow-up issues, just because at the end of that Vision miniseries, like you said, he scoops up Jocasta and and Ultron and flies off. And it's like, well, where did you go? What did you do? Did you grow from this? What did you learn from this? And even it was interesting to see like how many of the women on the Avengers pined over Vision. Because like they aren't.
Yeah.
Did you feel like they were
yeah.
hinting at Crystal and Vision, or at least Vision for Crystal? And then she's like, "No, because technically I'm married to Pietro, but I'm kind of lusting for Dane." And he's like, "Fine, you don't love me. I'm gonna go be a detective." But then the Shi'ar lady, I can't think of her name right now.
Purple lady,
the cat-esque woman. Yeah, she was like pining for Vision as well.
She was very upset that he didn't like return the feelings.
Yeah. So it was like, okay, this is way interesting. Like. Talk about, we always joke about that. Like when you're interested in people you work with, inbreeding at work. It's like, wow, there's a lot of inbreeding in the Avengers apparently.
Maybe sometimes it's the only place that viable dating pool, I guess.
Exactly. You can't question where it comes from sometimes.
So once again, those issues are.
So I would recommend start with Avengers West Coast. I just lost it. It is, let me get it here, Avengers West Coast issues 42, 43, 44, and 45. That will start the Vision Quest, and then that will kind of, you'll want to follow up because then that's going to lead to what we're going to talk about next week with Scarlet Witch, but we'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, pick up those 4 issues of Vision Quest. At these price points, you're probably better off buying the trades, just because those went from being dollar comics to in the hundreds. Yeah, like people have been like, okay, this is that. Then you want to jump to, I believe, Avengers Spotlight number 40, where Vision gets his new brain. You said it right. Engrams? Is that
Engrams?
Engrams. So you'll get that there. And then if you're brave enough, jump over to Avengers issues 459 all the way up to 463. But that'll be nice because you'll get to see the jacketed era of the Avengers. They all wore cool brown leather jackets.
There's so many jackets. It's so weird.
I'm the Black Knight, but here I am in a bomber jacket. And then cap it all off with the with Vision issues 1 through 4. So that'll be kind of a journey of Vision. A Vision journey, a Vision quest.
A Vision quest. It's right there.
But definitely check that out.
And this takes place over how many years in our world? Like, gosh, in publication?
Close to about 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Vision was definitely onto something because even then, like once Vision gets kind of restored, as it were, because he kind of he's back to whole the next time I see him in Onslaught. And Onslaught was like well before the 2000s, right? Yeah, so they have to fix him, and then it's like, well, now we're going to give you to Rob Liefeld. So it's like, oh, that's a fate far worse than being dismantled. You had feet. Hey-o.
Okay, there you go. Those are the reading that you should want to do if you want to see maybe a roadmap to what the MCU is going to do with the Vision. Now that we've seen the White Vision take off in the middle of Westview, off to do whatever it is he needs to do to find himself, because he is the Vision.
Yes.
Chris, where can people find you online?
So if you want to check me out online, go to Twitter. I am on there as Stuff I Should Say, should being spelled SHUD. And then definitely check out geekelitemedia.com and AIPTcomics.com for my writings. Sometimes it's comic book pieces and sometimes it's comic book reviews. So definitely check it out. And I hope you like what you read.
You can find me on Twitter. I'm at Mitchipedia, GEM. GEM stands for Geek Elite Media. The rest of Geek Elite Media is at Geek Elite Media on Twitter, at Geek Elite Media on Instagram, and Facebook.com/Geek Elite Media is our Facebook page. Check out archived episodes of this podcast and other podcasts on our website that Chris mentioned, geekelitemedia.com. Then check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Geek Elite Media for bonus material that you can only get there if you are a patron. And whatever podcatcher you're using, please rate and review us because it helps spread the word of our network. But until next time, this is Imagine If on the Geek Elite Media Network, saying always remember to geek out.
This concludes our broadcast. Beep.